All right, guys, we're back for another battle report. Legions Imperialis. We've got some Titans against the Mechanicum. We've got our table set up here. We've got a nice big Gothic city to fight over. So we have a new guest on the channel. This is
All right.
Kevin.
How's it
So
going?
I've known Kevin for about a year, a little more now.
Mhm.
So he's been a big part of our community here, and
Mhm.
he's got a great looking force over there. And
Yeah.
we're gonna have a good game today. So we are playing Retrieval. So we've got our three objectives out here. We haven't rolled for secondary objectives yet, so we'll do that here in a minute. Um, but yeah, Kevin, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the game? And
Yeah. Well, I've I started 40K with Knights in the last 3 years, and then I've always loved like the Titans and things. And then when they said Legion Imperialis, we're going to do small scale, I think that scale is kind of one of the more interesting ways you can set up a lot of narratives, and you can really think about how armies are tactically dealing with each other versus like kind of the skirmish battles that much more 40K is. So that really got me interested. And so then as you've seen with the buildings, we started city building, and now we're going to have lots of explosions happen. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to continue building up my force.
great,
Yeah.
awesome, thank you. And do you want to introduce us also to our spectator?
This is Sky Masterson. He's very upset because it's an hour before his food, and therefore he needs food now.
All right, so yeah, you may hear him in the background as we continue playing. So that's
Yeah.
that's who that is. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, I'm going to get deployed. We're going to roll for secondary objectives, and we'll check in with you after that. All right, so this is 3,000 points of Kevin's Titans and Astartes, and he's going to take us through his force.
So this is a Titan list with some Knight support and Thousand Suns assistance. The Warlord Titan has got a Arak Power Claw and the Sun Fury Plasma Annihilator with some Gatling blasters on the top. Actually, sorry, Turbo Laser Destructors.
There we go. Yeah.
Then we've got the Reavers, which are Laser Blaster, Reaver Gatling Blaster, and then they have the Vulcan Mega Bolters as their top carapace weapon. And then the Warhounds, we have got Plasma Ursula Claw on one. Then we've got the Swarmer missiles and the Turbo Laser Destructor on the right hand side there. The Knights, they are not WYSIWYG, but just forgive that. They are Paladins with Reaper chain swords and rapid fire battle cannons with the extra points for the missile pods. Then we have the next scale down, we have a Talon of Contemptors with Laz. Those are the Thousand Suns. We're calling those the Chads because they took out a Warhound on their first volley last game. And then we have some Daradeos for the anti-air. And then we have our Thousand Suns, 2 squads of tactical, 2 squads of missiles with a command unit. And that is the list.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Kevin. All right. So we're going to break there, guys, and I'll go through my Mechanicum force. All right, guys. So this is my 3,000 points of Mechanicum. Should look pretty familiar to those of you who've seen some of our other battle reports before, but we'll go through it one by one here. And we'll start off with our Legion, or Legio Cybernetica cohort over here on the right. And the big addition is my Warhound Titan. This is the first Titan I've painted up. Legio Ossidax. I really like their quartered blue and white color scheme with the red head. I think it's pretty striking on the table. So I've got him outfitted with a Vulcan Mega Bolter and a Graviton Eradicator, I think is the name for the Warhound variant. But I'm going to use him to push up the table and basically try to knock down any buildings that are providing some stubborn resistance to my rest of my Mechanicum force here. So the rest of the cohort, we have 2 units of 8 Thalax, 2 detachments of 8 Thalax, and 2 detachments of 4 Castellax. These are each supported by the Archmagos on Vant or a Tech Priest Auxilia. So moving on to the Ordo Reductor subdivision, definitely the smallest formation in my army. I have a detachment of 6 Myrmidon Destructors, which have been improved in the latest errata, so now they definitely have both the Volkite and the Conversion Beamer. Then we have 3 detachments of Thanatar, 2 with the Plasma Mortar to knock down buildings and to take out any heavy armor, which there's a lot of in my opponent's list today. And then we also have 2 with the Solex Heavy Las, which will provide us with some ranged firepower with those 22-inch heavy las cannons. And those are, as always, supported by Tech Priest Auxilia or an Archmagos on a band. Moving on to the Tagma Subcovenant, starting here at the top. I have a detachment of 8 Ursarax, and these are going to be my close assault maneuver force moving up the table. We've got some more Myrmidon Destructors to provide some base of fire, and then 8 Myrmidon Secutors, which are also going to be a close assault element when we're moving up on an objective. Then we got 2 detachments of 10 Tech Thrall Covenants, and these are providing some infantry support in my backline, and then 2 more Thanatar with the Solex Heavy Las, again supported by the Archmagos on a band who is leading the formation. And then our last formation is the ever-reliable Solar Auxilia Pioneer Company. You guys have seen this many times before. We have a detachment of 8 las rifles and 4 flamers with our tactical command, 9 mole mortars, 8 Ogrins, 8 more Velatari, 4 Tarantulas with the Skyfire missiles to provide some air cover, and then 2 detachments of 4 Aethon Heavy Sentinels, providing some forward deployment and just a little bit of versatility in the list. And then backing all this up, I have a Lightning Strike Fighter with las cannons, Sky Strike and Hellstrike missile, and then an Avenger Strike Fighter with Hellstrike missiles and an autocannon battery. And I also have 2 unpainted knights, so please forgive me for that. I have 1 outfitted with the rapid fire battle cannon there, and the chainsword with the missile pod. Just like Kevin said, it's only 5 points, and knights really need just a little bit more of a boost, just to give them a little bit of extra presence on the table. The other one is equipped with the thermal lance, thermal spear, the melta weapon, and a chain sword with the missile pod. And my plan for these is probably to use them to screen for my Warhound, just to give him a little bit of cover if he needs it. So yeah, that's my list. 3,000 points. I think this is the biggest game I've ever played. Certainly the biggest game we filmed for the channel. So big thanks to Kevin for hosting and for being my opponent today. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to set the table up, and then we'll deploy, and we'll check in with you after that. All right, so here we are. We finished deployment. So I'm lined up on this side of the table. Got my Warhound staring down that Warlord off in the distance there and the Reaver. So we'll see how long he lasts. And then we got Kevin's army across the way. So, Kevin, would you mind doing us the honors and taking us through your deployment?
All right. So I went ahead and deployed first my Thousand Suns Legion and kind of spread them around to be able to move up and take some strategic assets. And from there, I had my Axum Manipule deployed, which is all the Titans and Knights, which are acting as support. So they're going to try to clear out as much of those pesky little guys as possible to be able to then bring those points back and maybe get lucky and be able to pull them into my deployment.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Okay, yeah, it's just sort of a dichotomy here of Legions Imperialis, right? We got the big versus the small. So we'll start over here on the right for me. I've got my Tecthrall Covenant, my Castellax, Thanatar, my Secutors, and my Thalax all lined up on the objective behind this big structure here. My Warhound and Knights are intending to move up into this open space. We'll see how long that lasts. I've got another similar group established here in the center with the Castellax, Thanatar, Thalax, and then the Ursarax are providing some close assault. And then over here on the left, I've got another Tecthrall Covenant, 2 sets of Thanatar with the Solex Heavy Las, and then both of my Aethon Heavy Sentinels and my Myrmidon Destructors providing some overwatch on this objective on the left here. I infiltrated my Tarantulas. There's no air on Kevin's side, so they're just going to be providing some overwatch for the objective for as long as they last, which I don't think is going to be too long. And then we've got the Velatari infiltrated into the building here. My Las Rifle Tercio deployed here, covering this objective. Ogrins in this building, and my mole mortars in this building. And then, of course, my 2 aircraft off the table. So we're going to go ahead and do our first turn, and we'll check in with you after movement. All right, this is the end of movement, turn 1. You see my Mechanicum horde has advanced across the table here. So I'll start off on the right flank. I just moved most of my infantry and automata up into the trees, backed up by the Myrmidon Secutors and the Thanatar, just looking to get an angle on that objective. I left my mole mortars in the building, moved my knights up to try to keep them out of fire, and I shifted my Tecthrall Covenant from that large building into this small one, and I've tucked my Warhound away behind this building. In the center, I moved my Ogrins out of the building just to try to keep them out of so much fire that Kevin's bringing up that direction, and just everything else is pretty much just moving up towards this central objective. I took a risk here. I dumped all my Thalax and Ursarax onto the objective. We'll see if that was the correct decision. But I may come to regret that. I do have some infantry to replace them if they get destroyed. So we'll see how it goes. And then on the left, I just moved my Sentinels up. And then I've got my aircraft in the right, or excuse me, the left here. And Thanatar just hanging out. So we'll do, we'll see what, Kevin, do you want to take us through what you did?
Sure. So being that he infiltrated a bunch of buildings, I moved up my guys to be able to counter that, especially like the missile squads. They're going to be some of the heavier hitters in this situation. And then a lot of my positioning was based on trying to keep out of mole mortar range.
Yep.
These guys over here don't want anything to do with that right now. And then just kind of moving up the field with my slower units so that they can get line of sights and get some shots on to some of his other guys there. I am hoping to thin out the Ogrins before they get to charge the following turn. And then I moved my Reaver actually behind the building so that he'll have a minus to shooting against them to try to make it so he doesn't one-shot a Reaver with some mole mortars.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That'd be pretty rough. Overall, the left side seems to be super heavy on infantry, and I will probably collapse in the near future over there. And then trying to kind of, the big plan is to try to thin out this. I can't quickly thin his guys based on the number of shots I have, but the more that I can do that, the less that Charlie can take control of the point and pull it into his area there. So we'll see how that goes. Hoping for a lot of 4s.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's what I've got currently going on.
Great. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, my plan is I'm just trying to get the objectives. I mean, it's pretty clear. Trying to get the objectives as quickly as possible before Kevin's firepower can wipe me off the board and keep me from taking them. So we're going to go ahead and do combat, and we'll check in with you after that. All right. So this was a pretty exciting turn, actually, of combat. This is the end of combat turn 1. And as you can see, there's been some pretty significant changes to the table. If we start over here on the left, we had a pretty significant exchange of fire between myself and the Warhound over here. I was able to take down both of the Void Shields and do 2 wounds.
3 wounds.
3 wounds.
3 wounds,
So
yeah.
he's got 1 left. He did manage to get one of his Void Shields back in the end phase. But if it's any consolation, that little knight over there was able to shoot down my lightning fighter with his rapid fire battle cannon. So that was pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. Moving towards the center, my Velatari took some casualties, I think, from the missile launchers. Mm-hmm. And then in the center, my Thalax took enough casualties to force them to take a morale check, and now they're going to be falling back, which I need to do after we finish recording this. And then the Ursarax were completely wiped out by Kevin's Titans. Let's see. Just moved up. I took a few casualties on the Thanatar and the Castellax. And then over here, pretty quiet, just basically more or less because all of my stuff is out of line of sight. The Mole Mortars were able to do 2 wounds, I think, to the Reaver.
Yeah.
And took a couple of casualties in return. And yeah, so let's see. Anything I'm missing, Kevin?
No, that was the main exchanges there.
Okay.
I did lose the guys in the building here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Chair Knights I did take down.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, they got completely wiped.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was a bad move on my part. I thought it was going to save them from the missile launchers, but it ended up just putting them in more danger. So they might have still died, but I think leaving them in the building might have given them enough protection to let them stick through the rest of the turn. So let's see. We need to do objectives. I think I have control of 2, so I need to move those. So that'll give me, I believe, 10 victory points. So we'll move these after we finish here, and then I need to fall back my Thalax. Yeah, so it started off a little rough, Kevin, but it seemed to kind of come back there towards the end of the turn. So
yes, so far there's been only 1 saving throw for that.
Yes, yeah, that Warhound, that Princeps needs to be court-martialed or something.
Yeah, he's definitely going back to training.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of an overhead shot for you guys. We're going to go ahead and call it there, and we will finish our end of phase stuff and check in with you after we do movement turn 2. All right, this is the end of movement turn 2. So Kevin's bringing his Titans up. I've fallen back here on the left. I've got control of the left-hand objective, so I'm bringing it back. Yeah. Kind of got a fire base set up here. Going to try to use that to secure the objective. In the center, Kevin was trying to bait me out and have me charge with my Velatari against one of these very friendly targets back here, but we're staying in the building. Let's see. Not too much else in the center, just still pushing up. I was telling Kevin, I think probably one of my big mistakes was I should have focused my automata on this central objective just because it's so open and there's so much firepower, and they really would have been more durable. So I think that's a tactic to use for the next game. Over here, I finally broke cover with my Warhound. We're going to have some dueling exchange of shots here. It's going to be, I think we're going to both be at -2.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting.
So no one's going to be hitting anyone with their shots. But it'll be fun.
And then I've got my sort of firing line here on the edge of the trees, getting ready to resist this push by the Titan, the Knights, and Dreadnoughts. And We've got my Myrmidons, Secutors in the back here as a reserve. And that's about it. Kevin, what did you do over here?
Yeah, so the main thing is I have to keep pushing up because the retrieval mission makes it so that I have to be on these points to pull them back. But with his guys having said, the front board control, it's going to be a hard push because you don't really want to march a Titan forward because you lose so much firepower. So advancing up and just trying to wipe him as I move up. And then I've kind of directed some more forces to the left side to try to push against his environmentally conscious tree Mechanicum people over there.
Yes, yeah.
And we'll see that's going to be a very bloody side of this battle.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be very interesting for sure.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for turn 2 movement, and we're going to do combat, and we'll check in with you after that. All right, this is the end of combat turn 2. Not looking too good, I don't think, on my end, but we'll see. Warhound, Knights, exchanged a bunch of fire, but because of all the cover, it really wasn't very conclusive. I did take a wound on that front Knight and dropped my shields on my Warhound, but I was able to get one back in the end phase. I need to move the objective still. Took a bunch of casualties in the mole mortar section. You can see there's only 2 left here. They were able to do a wound.
Yep.
So they're still holding out. And then moving into the center, I lost all my Castellax, one of my Thanatar, so they're not too much longer for this world. And then over here, I lost a few of the tech thralls holding the objective from the Mega Bolter on the Reaver Titan. My Lightning almost got shot down. Took a lot of fire, but didn't get any hits. So
hard.
Got very lucky. And then the Sentinels didn't really have a target this turn. Neither did the Thanatar. So we'll see. I'm not sure. I feel like I've misplayed this a little bit. I think I haven't quite made the best use of these guys have all been sort of tucked up behind here for both turns, not really doing much. So we'll see. Kevin, what happened on your end?
Well, I had a Warhound.
You did. That's true. That is true. I didn't talk about that. So he's now gone.
That one's gone. I was able to clear out the remaining Atari out of there. Did some damage on the guys on the midpoint. Still, I was hoping to have taken out more guys over here, but it really didn't happen. The big problem I have right now is just catching up. My Warhound sucked wind pretty hard. The one that did get to activate.
Yeah.
And now she's like, oh, wait a second. This is going to be bad because I have 0 shields because they didn't really light any shields. And now we'll see if it survives another round of fire, which it is a little debatable.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're going to move the objectives, and yeah, we'll check in with you after movement, turn 3. All right. This is the end of movement, turn 3. Kind of winded down, I think. Starting over here on the left, it's been pretty much the same since the start of the game. These Thanatar and the Myrmidons are just covering the flank. I moved my Ethon Heavy Sentinels up, trying to maybe get some shots on the Warlord or something in the center. Tech Thrall's in this building just to provide some tactical strength on that objective. Solar Auxilia, Thanatar, the lone remaining Archmagos Prime, and the Thalax have moved up into the center to try to claim that objective. Myrmidon's back here still on first fire, and the Lightning looking to put some shots maybe at the Warhound or really anything that looks like an opportune target. And then over here, still got my Tech Thralls in this building, just kind of holding down the back line. And just pulled my infantry and my Castellax back. Took a lot of casualties last turn. didn't really delay Kevin like I was hoping it would. So we're just going to make him come to us and try to hold on to the objective as long as we can. Kevin, what did you do?
Well, again, now we're going to have this battle in the center where I'm going to try to wipe him off so I can start pulling the point back my way. And then over here, this is the whole thing with having less activations. I was preparing to be able to thin out his ranks more, but by moving them into obscuring, I won't be able to take full advantage like I was going to on that. Did get a couple lucky point defense shots.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, Overwatch shots. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. And from there, it will be, can I pull these objectives back? Can I kind of start getting the points that I need to be able to make up for it? So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that I can thin him down a little bit so that I don't have to really fight for the objectives, because I have very little objective control and might have to have some crazy marches going on pretty soon. So
now remind us what your secondary objective was, Kevin.
It is the plant a flag.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I've been moving my knights up forward so they can be able to do said action.
Okay.
So
great. All right. Well, we're going to do combat, and we'll check in with you after that. All right. So this is the end of combat turn 3, and the end of the game for us. It's been a long game. I think we've been playing about 4 hours, something like that. Yeah. So we're going to call it there. We'll talk you through what happened. If we'll start over here on the left. Yeah, Kevin, go for it.
So here I was trying to come over and get closer to the point to be able to take it, but unfortunately there's just such a objective control discrepancy that I was never able to capture any of the points, and so they just kept walking farther and farther away. And even with the movement of Titans, which are actually not that fast, it's very hard to catch up, because your choice is, oh, do I have a 500-point model march up to be able to grab a point, which they have zero control on? They just there'd have to be nothing there. So kind of just kept moving up the board, slaughtering as many of the infantry as I could. I definitely did a good job on that, minus the one side where he was able to hide behind the trees.
Yeah, I mean, if you see the table, I have very little left. I mean, over here, like Kevin said, there's still a fair force.
Yeah, but if you scan into
but you could see how much I've lost. So.
Yeah. Well, he has been able to take out both of the Warhounds. They did not do a very Warhoundy job. And then we kind of talked about what will happen next, and we're going to have to call it, because I will not be able to make up for those points. Even with, there's a good chance that I would be able to get the secondary, but even with that, the discrepancy is too much, because I'd basically have to take all points on this turn, which is very unlikely, being that one's like 20 inches or 30 inches away from my closest guy, and I only had a chance of getting the one in the middle and the one on the side, and not being able to stop it from pushing back. This last turn was kind of the final nail in the coffin for my team. They will just have to unleash another barrage and walk into the sunset, leaving destruction in their path.
Yeah. So, well, you certainly did destroy a lot of stuff, that is for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, thanks again for the game, Kevin.
Yeah,
great game.
It was a lot of fun.
So, we'll...
Oh, yeah, and the MVP is definitely his lightning.
Yeah, I got a charmed life. I rolled very well for him.
Every time I'd hit, he'd be like 6s.
So yeah, he definitely earned his stripes today.
Yeah, there's a lot of Titan fire going at him, and he just kind of walked into the sunset himself.
So
yeah.
Okay, all right, guys. Well, this is another battle report for you.
Yeah.
Kevin's first on the channel, so thanks again for having us into your home and letting us film a report.
A lot of fun.
And so yeah, all right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.